victory and the first time since 2015. They fall to 4-11 without Lamar, and more questions abound as the Ravens are down for the count. Back in studio with the guys, broad thoughts here on the Ravens and some of the struggles, but first let's start with LA. This is a team that was looking at a defense that gives you a lot. They weren't able to execute Mac at that level in the first half. They find that hot 90 seconds in the second half. How do you grade out a team here that is going to have plenty of teachable moments off this tape as well?
Well, this is the life in the NFL. You know, when you're playing against a team that's dealing with an abundance of injuries on the road, one would think you go out and do the same thing the other teams have done against the Baltimore Ravens, which is score a lot of points and, of course, make it difficult for them on the offensive end. But the NFL, in terms of adjustments and just the high knowledge from the staff, you see opposing teams, when they're not at their fullest, they put forth a better effort. And that's what we saw from the Baltimore Ravens, but not enough. The untimely turnovers led to another loss for the Baltimore Ravens. And yes, you didn't see the Matthew Stafford game that we thought we would see. Yep. We didn't see the explosion or the accuracy offensively. But to your point, Joe, the 90 seconds of timely plays made the better for them in terms of winning this ball game, because I can tell you this much. This was a must-win for the Rams. When you look at what they're doing, what they have going on in their division, chasing the San Francisco 49ers, who's playing really, really good football, Seattle playing really, really good football. You don't want to allow separation between yourself and the rest of the pack and those two teams. So this was a must-win. It was ugly, but they got the job done.
They got the job done a different way, because the Rams offensively have a perception of being soft and finesse. But they went out there against Baltimore and got beat up a little bit, but they showed them that, hey, we can match that physicality and respond to that. They lost some players with some injuries, but they came back in the game. You saw Puka Nacua out for a little while. Then you saw, Corum get out for a little while, but then the Rams responded. They found a way to fight through that adversity. We saw Devontae Adams drop how many passes over the middle of the field in this ball game, but working through adversity, found themselves on the other side of things, showed that they have the mental toughness, they have the physical toughness, and I think those things kind of are some of the takeaways you can take away from this game if you're the Rams.
Yeah, excuse me. It was an ugly win, sure, but it was a win. They've had two very close losses, right? They lost to the Eagles in a game they probably should have won. Of course, lost to the 49ers, and so I think that's a great point when you're talking about not wanting to allow for that separation in the NFC West. That is essential for the Rams. Next week, of course, they're going to be, that's why they stayed on the East Coast. They are going to London. They're going to be playing a very difficult Jacksonville Jaguars team before they have their bye coming back from Europe. So a big win for the Rams. I'm not too worried about how ugly it was necessarily, just because it is what it is.
To your point, I believe we know what we have in the Rams, and that's a team that's going to contend for a playoff position and maybe far beyond that. As for this Baltimore team, we continue to try and figure out what we do have here, gentlemen. We do have a performance much more the likes of Derrick Henry, 120-something here on 5 per pop, but Cooper Rush, the quarterback, limits them in some ways.
A lot of ways.
Coach Harbaugh knows his team more intimately than anyone at this desk, but you see some flickers of what Snoop Huntley offers as a +1. The question becomes, why not in quarter one?
Yeah, I do understand that. Of course, he offered that sort of flicker there with the game. I don't want to say out of reach, but I do wonder if the Rams had prepared for Snoop Huntley all week. If it would have looked like that when he was entered into the game there in the second half. Obviously, Harbaugh understands that Snoop Huntley isn't going to give them maybe what they need in the pass game. Obviously disappointed in what Cooper Rush did, but of course, you wanted to at least try to go 500 without Lamar Jackson. They weren't even competitive in these two games. Now the Ravens have a bye. You hope that Lamar Jackson, having been able to rest that hamstring for 3 weeks at that point, will be able to come back post-bye in Week 8. We'll see. The Ravens, of course, have been playing very coy about Lamar Jackson's injury. Really don't even know when he suffered the injury, dating back to that Chiefs game. But now the Ravens are 1-5. And since 1970, there have been only 4 teams in the NFL who have gone on to make the playoffs, having started 1-5. AFC may not be what we thought it would be at the start of the year, and of course, we do need to point out the schedule for the Ravens. It does lighten up. They play a very difficult first 6 games. It does lighten up here in the back half, as we're going to see right here, right? You get Joe's Bears after that. Short week, Miami Dolphins. The Vikings, who knows who's their quarterback's going to be. The Browns, the Jets may still be winless at that point. Who knows who the quarterback's going to be for the Bengals. So it's not over yet for the Ravens, right, guys? It's not over yet, but 1-5. is pretty much a death sentence, and you need the Supreme Court to call and have a stay of execution.
It feels Cincinnati in a sense last year where they've already put themselves in a position where now everything has to go their way to find themselves in that position that they hoped to be when the season started. Let's take a look at some of the worst starts to seasons in franchise history, and this matches that. This also marks the third straight double-digit loss, which matches the longest streak in Ravens franchise history. The other instance happening back in 1998 when Coach Harbaugh was the quarterback.
Are 4-1, considering all the injuries they are dealing with. A combined 29 players on their injury report, more on IR. 18 of those players coming from the 49ers. We know Brock Purdy will not play today, still dealing with that turf toe. Kyle Shanahan telling us he is hopeful that he will be back next week. That means Mac Jones will make his fourth start. He's dealing with some injuries. Suffered a knee injury, an oblique injury last week, and we were told by Kyle Shanahan it was really difficult for him to throw this week. He didn't take any reps in practice. Adrian Martinez took all the reps. I've been watching out here, and we have yet to see Mac Jones come out. He's probably getting some treatment, but certainly all eyes will be on how Mac Jones plays today. They also will be once again without tight end George Kittle, without Ricky Pearsall, but they get back Jawan Jennings. In terms of the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield playing at an MVP type level, and really incredible considering the pieces that he is missing. Certainly they will not have Mike Evans once again. Chris Godwin out because of a fibula injury. Bucky Irving, he's out once again. And then when we look at the defensive side of the ball, they get back Jamel Dean, but cornerback Zion McKellen and Benjamin Morrison both out for this game. It is just next man up mentality for both of these teams.
Thank you, Tracy. Here they are firing up those cannons there in Tampa Bay. So it's 49ers and Bucks in one of two games in the afternoon window on CBS. Also Bengals, Packers, both at 4:25 on CBS. Bengals, Packers this afternoon on CBS. A reunion of sorts for the head coaches Zach Taylor and Matt LaFleur, who were both on the Rams coaching staff back in 2017. Our Melanie Collins gives us a preview of this one from Green Bay.
Well, good afternoon from Lambeau Field, where we have an absolutely perfect fall day for this matchup between the Bengals and the Packers. The Packers are coming off their bye week, looking for a get-right game after tying the Cowboys 40-40 in Week 4. The Bengals have lost 3 straight. So what did they do? On Tuesday, they traded for 18-year NFL veteran Joe Flacco, who will be getting the start for the Bengals today. He's had just a few days to get up to speed in this offense. But he told us, thankfully, there is some familiarity with the terminology thanks to the carryover with Alex Van Pelt in Cleveland. He said when he gets the play call,